welcome to the Karo podcast. My name is Karo, and this is a podcast where I talk about all my crafty things that I like to do, which is mainly knitting and yarn related things, but I also really enjoy art and the odd other craft. This time I have, as per usual, a lot of knitting to show. I did some dyeing, natural dyeing and acid dyeing, and there is a new hobby that made it into my list of things that I do, which is a cross stitch. Who would have thought? I certainly did not think. I remember distinctly in the last episode, I don't think it made the cut in the end, but I was like, just wait for it. I'm going to show up with cross stitch on this podcast, and here I am, actually showing up with cross stitch, and I honestly did not think that was going to happen anytime soon. But here we are. My name is Karo. I don't know if I actually already said that, but this is the Karo Kirsch podcast, so naturally that's my name. And you can find me also on Instagram at caro.kirsch, where I'm not super active, but I always have the intention to be, and for some reason I never managed to do. But hopefully I will get the inspiration to get more active there at some point. So I keep mentioning it. And nothing much else to say. Thank you very, very much if you commented and liked the last video where I announced that I have 150 subscribers and wanted to celebrate that with a little giveaway. More on that at the end of the episode, but just so you know, I was so happy to read the comments. I think in the end there was like 19 or something, which is like way more than I expected. So yay, really, really cool. I do have a prize, and that's actually not the reason why this episode is a little bit late, which I originally thought. I thought, I'm going to procrastinate on making that prize forever, and this episode won't be coming out 2 months after I published the promise for it. But more on that later. Anyway, so let's jump into the episode, into the first segment, which is finished objects. And drum roll, please. I finished the men's aran jacket, which is my technically Christmas present for my husband. And I finished it. So let me show you this good piece, and I guess I'll put it on. I feel like that might be the best way to show you because it's massive. It obviously doesn't look very good on me, but it does on my husband. And I probably will just put in some B-roll of him wearing it. But this is, again, the men's aran jacket. It's called, out of the Aran and Gansey pattern book, which is a Japanese pattern book. There is not a English word in there apart from the title. I'm not even sure if all the designs are by the same designer or if the designers vary, but the model I did, which is model number E, or letter E, I guess, it's not a number, is by Yoko Hata. So this is the cardigan I made for my husband. And he is super happy with the finished result. So it fits him. It is a all over cabled, or at least textured jacket. And it has a cowl neck, and you knit it in pieces. I'll show you the back again. And it has a raglan look to it, but again, you do knit it in pieces. And it has pockets. Let me show you the pocket. Hang on. It's a little awkward. I have my chair here. So here is a pocket, which is the first project that I added pockets to, which I'm really excited. But I think they look really, really good. And yes, I'm trying to think what else I wanted to say about this. Well, let's maybe talk about the pockets, just because I had them here. So I think I mentioned this when I was planning the project or when I was at the very beginning, that I've never did pockets before and that I wasn't quite sure on how to accomplish this. And I know I watched 1 or 2 YouTube videos way in the beginning. So I had a rough idea of how to do this. And yeah, came to the day where I actually started the pocket, I just totally winged it. The first thing that I thought, because the yarn that I'm using is aran weight, it is JC Rennie Chunky Lamb's Wool, the Freedom line, which is an undyed line, and I use the Culbrit colorway, which is like a mauled yarn, and the maul is because it's a 2-ply made from a brown and a gray, or a beige and a gray single. And it is very thick. It's aran weight, and at first thought I would kind of, because when you knit the front panels, you basically just put in a scrap piece of yarn where the pocket will eventually go, and then you take out the scrap piece of yarn, so you have kind of a round opening with live stitches, which I thought I would pick up and then kind of knit a circle, knit in the round, and Kitchener stitch at the very end to create the pocket. But then I was thinking, ooh, adding 2 more layers behind this will add a lot of bulk, which then sits on my husband's hips, which never is a good look. I mean, even though my husband has a very nice figure, it would not look that good to have these bulky pockets. So then I was thinking, how can I combat that? I could just use a different yarn that is thinner. So I was thinking about, because I bought some other JC Rennie yarn, which is, I guess, halfway or half the thickness of this. But then I was thinking, wouldn't it be cool, since this is a 2-ply, to just undo a bit of yarn and just use the single ply for the pockets. And that's exactly what I did. And not only that, I ended up casting on, like knitting in the round as I was originally planning for this. But then I realized, like, I picked up way too many stitches, so I had to go back anyways. And then I was like thinking, why do I even do the round thing? I could just knit 1 flap, just a 1-layer thing, and then stitch it somehow down at the back and have just a 1-layer kind of pocket. And that's what I ended up doing. So here is the result. So I don't have anything that's flapping back. It's just all stitched on, and it's just 1/2, so to speak, of the yarn. So I used my e-spinner and put in the opposite twist direction of how this was plied together, and just kind of untwisted it, feeding it into the e-spinner, and then I was kind of pulling it back out with my yarn ball winder and just took it apart. I don't know. I don't know if that makes any sense what I'm explaining right now, but I fed it into my e-spinner, taking out the twist, but still having the yarn, kind of the 2 singles together. And then I was pulling it back out, and I actually had the e-spinner running a little bit to combat whatever twist I didn't fully take out, or where I turned too far. I actually don't know if I turned too far. I had it going one direction. I think I had to take out a bit more twist as I was taking it out again, and I was just taking then the 1 strand and wound it up with my ball winder, and the other half I was just kind of piling on next to me. And yeah, and then I just knit the 1 pocket with the 1/2 of what came out of that, and the other pocket with the other half. And funnily enough, I find the brown or beige half blends in way nicer into the fabric of this than the gray. Like, the gray is a much higher contrast, which I find very interesting, that the overall color is kind of given by this ply. And I don't know, isn't that funny? I find like you can hardly see this one on top of this if you just quickly see it, but you definitely see this one. So I find that very interesting how that happened, but this is basically what the combination looks like. So yeah, I thought that was pretty neat. And yeah, I ended up just crocheting down the 3 sides, and then on the outside you had to pick up, so the flap kind of starts here on the back and goes down here, and then on the front live stitches you pick up and then knit up a bit 2x2 rib, which I then, as I was knitting, was already kind of knitting two together at the very edge here to have this little flap in front of the pocket. So really, really happy how this turned out. I made them a little bit deeper than they were originally in the pattern. In the pattern, they have you knitted so the pocket goes until here, but I thought that was a bit too short. I already noticed that as I was knitting that I put in the scrap yarn a little bit too low. But yeah, didn't really feel like going back, so I just continued and did it the same way on the other side, and then I just knit down a little bit further than here. But I think that's another reason why I thought tacking it down here would be good, because if you put something like heavy like a phone or something in it, I was thinking that maybe because it's so low it would start like sagging below the cardigan, which obviously would also not be a good look. So yeah, overall I think turned out really nice. Obviously he hasn't worn it that much yet, but he is wearing it already. It's kind of the perfect weather right now because it's spring. And yeah, this is actually an outside layer that he can wear when we're going on walks and things. And he's certainly a person that runs very hot, so he's usually out in a t-shirt when everybody else is still in down coats. So this is a nice kind of layering piece that he can take off as well, but since it's a cardigan, it's open, so he can bear wearing it in this weather. So I'm really happy about that. It is certainly a different look on him. He keeps asking me, does this look good on me? It's very unusual because I don't know, it is very old school having like an all over cabled piece like this, but I think it's really nice. I think it's certainly a statement piece. The arms turned out a little bit too long, so he's wearing them folded over. I don't know. We'll see if that annoys him or if he wants me to shorten it, which, I mean, you do knit them cuff up, so I would have to cut and rib it out, but I would kind of cut it wherever I would start with the ribbing, so you don't really see where you started knitting the other direction, which is something you do see. That's actually a change I did to the pattern in the cowl. So the way you're supposed to knit this in the cowl, you cast on stitches kind of at the very center in the back, at the widest part of the cowl that then goes into the button band. And then, yeah, you cast on the stitches and then you knit down, shaping the cowl and then the button band. And then you're supposed to do that twice for the other side, obviously without buttonholes. And then they have you stitch it together. I don't know. I didn't read it. I didn't try to translate it. I just know that they have you knit two pieces. But I decided to do a, what's it called? Can't come up with a word. Provisional cast on. I decided to do a provisional cast on and then just pick up the stitches and knit the other direction. And you do see kind of a little jog. I don't know if you can do this so it's invisible, but you can see, but it's very hard to see. But I still thought this was a much less obvious thing than having a seam here, because then you would obviously have like a bulky segment below the seam. And yeah, and this way it looks at least the same from top and bottom. And since this folds in half, yeah, you would probably put the seam underneath, but if this slips up, then you would see it, kind of thing. That's what I thought, and I'm pretty happy with that, how this is looking right now. It's very hard to see. You can probably barely see it on camera. You certainly can see it in real life, but also only if you're looking very hard. The last thing that's missing is buttons. And we really need to order those, but we still have to decide. I think we're going with kind of darker buttons. Originally, my husband wanted kind of just wooden buttons, but I think the color of the wood is more yellow than this. And I don't know, yellowy wooden buttons I don't think will look that nice. So we're looking into a bit more darker buttons. But anyways, we just have to decide, and then this one's done. The knitting is certainly done, and very, very happy to have this project off my needles so I can just knit what my heart desires. I was talking about this last episode, that this forced knitting is certainly grinding down my knitting mojo. But I am enjoying knitting again because I can just pick up whatever I would like and knit on that. And that is at the moment, I'm sorry, my phone's going crazy right now. I hope the messages are done. But yeah, that does lead me into works in progress. And I do have 3 active works in progress. And I don't know, the one I'm not really going to talk about a whole lot. That's just my sock, which honestly, I don't even know if I worked on this a whole lot since last time. So I'm just going to quickly hold it in the camera. I'm still learning with these needles, to be totally honest with you guys. I think that might be the reason why I'm not picking them up so much. I don't know. I really hope I get into a flow with these needles because I really, really do like how it's knitting up. It's a nice tight gauge. So yes, not a whole lot to say about these vanilla socks. Twisted rib is the only thing fancy I guess I do on these, and yeah, still on sock number 1, but I really want to have them. I still enjoy wearing my hand knit socks, so that's that. Yes, so the second work in progress is one I've shown before, but I actually kind of, I meant to knit on this while I was talking about the other projects, because I'm like mid-row, so maybe I can find, hang on, I'll talk about another project first, and then maybe I get to the end of this row while I'm talking. So let me talk about my next work in progress, which is a new cast on, and that has a bit of a story to tell, so that's what I'm doing while I knit on the other one. Anyways, so there is Allie of, what's her podcast name? I mentioned her before. She did the tutorial on the dodgy bags, which I really loved, and I kind of just got stuck on her channel because of that video. And what's her name? It's Little Drops of Wonderful is her podcast name, and she recently released a video about a new project she's starting. As far as I understand, she is fairly new to stranded knitting, and she wants to have an all-over colorwork Christmas jumper for this year's Christmas, and she's starting that project soon, knowing herself kind of taking a long while with the whole stranded knitting and thing. And that really kind of inspired me, because I also had in the back of my mind, I never put it quite on my Ravelry queue, but I always wanted to knit the Christmas sweater by Skein Knits. Actually not sure if it's called Christmas sweater, but it's also an all over color work with very wintry Christmassy things. And I always liked that pattern a lot and wanted to cast that on. And that was actually also one of the patterns she was talking about considering, like Allie in that video where she talked about that project. And anyway, so I was like, yes, I'm going to take part in this knit along, because that's what Allie ultimately is doing. She's doing a year-long knit along where people can knit their Christmas jumpers. I don't know which pattern she's ended up with. I don't think she actually made a decision on that, but I wanted to knit the Christmas jumper by Skein Knits, and I was looking through my stash what yarn I could use, and I came up with the JC Rennie Super Soft yarn in a green colorway. Remember? Hang on, let me show you. This one. This super awesome foresty green, which they accidentally sent me 2 cones instead of just 1. Does it? Oh yeah, the colorway is called a Loden. And yeah, I really, really like this color, but I haven't started any project with this. And I thought this would be a great yarn to use for that sweater together with the, oh, now I need to get up again, sorry. Whoop. With the putty colorway. So those two together I thought would make a kind of Christmas jumper, but not so much so into your face, you know? I mean, if I would add a red, it would certainly be in your face Christmas, but I thought if I leave the red out, I was thinking maybe in the end doing like an accent kind of top stitching a red detail or something, like one of the images I could make red. But yeah, that was kind of the idea, but the pattern uses, I think, DK weight yarn, and this is like light fingering. Maybe if it blooms, it's a proper fingering. But this was certainly too thin a yarn to use for that project. So I was thinking of holding this together with, and then I was thinking some fluff for the contrast and some non-fluff for the background color. So I wanted to have this as a background color and this as the contrast for all the fun trees and, I don't know, I was going to say unicorns, but it's not unicorns, it's like reindeer and things. So yeah, that was kind of the idea. And as it so happened, our local yarn shop is actually sadly closing down over now. It is closed down. And they were having a sale. So obviously I went there and started looking if I could find something. And I did find an alpaca, what's it called? Story alpaca silk to hold together with this. And just a lace weight merino to hold together with this. And I'm going to show you in the acquisitions segment what I got here. But after I kind of decided on this, figured out the yarn, and was about to start swatching for the Skein Christmas jumper, Caitlin Hunter from Boyland Knitworks, she released a new pattern called the Northerly sweater. And I was just instantly in love. I was like, shock, love, I have to have this sweater. And the main thing that reined me into this sweater was the colors. As I've mentioned before on here, I'm like super driven by colors. I love blue, and that sweater has blue in it. It's blue, white, and red. And I thought, oh, I really love these. And the story she has with this sweater, I think it's like, it reminds her of the winter in Alaska where she lives, like with the, I think the red berries and I don't know, the blue-white landscape, I'm not quite sure. But anyways, I just love the colors, wherever the inspiration comes from. It did feel wintry to me too. I guess that was the pattern more. And I love the colors, so I was just like, ooh, okay, I do want to make this. But then I was looking at the cut of the sweater, and it was actually quite high neck. And that was the same thing actually with the Christmas jumper from Skein Deer. And then I was looking through my Ravelry queue, seeing the Zipila sweater from Caitlin Hunter. And that has a really nice cut of the sweater, something I really like. It has an open neckline, which I just have to learn, or had to learn for myself, that I prefer that, especially in a warm sweater, which obviously if you knit yourself a woolly wool sweater, it's going to be warm. So I like it if it's a little bit lower and not quite as close to my neck. And I also like a bit more of a relaxed fit, which is all that the Zipila sweater is. So then at first I was thinking, could I make merge those two, merge the Northerly together with the Zipila. So I bought both patterns, and then I was looking at the pattern repeats and the number of stitches she has you cast on and all that stuff. And it was just too much of a headache. It obviously did not work out. I mean, if the two pattern repeats would have been just the same number of stitches, that would have been also obviously quite easy to just put the one into the other, even though then you would have to look, because obviously if you have a high neck sweater and you have a yoke pattern that goes all the way to where you separate for the sleeves, the one pattern is going to be much longer than the other, so you will have to look, I don't know. There was a lot involved, and I decided, okay, I'm just not going to do this. So in the end, I actually only cast on the Zipila sweater. So I had to go through two projects to actually just very easily, simply cast on the Zipila sweater, and I'm basically knitting as is. The only modification, if you can even call it that, is that I'm knitting it with 3 colors instead of 2. And those 3 colors are, I guess, the only remainder of my plan to knit the Northerly sweaters, and that is the colors. So let me show you where I am on this project. No! I'm knitting it in blue, white, and red. Hang on. Ugh, give me more yarn. So here I am in the pattern. It makes me very, very happy. So this is the Zipila sweater by Caitlin Hunter. I think I'm knitting the 3rd size. I'm not sure, honestly. I'm just guessing this. And yes, so there is... Actually, I was so excited about this when I finally got together all the yarns and things and made my decision. I'm just going to knit this, that I just cast on, and then I realized that you actually cast on in the contrast color. So if you look into the pattern, I'll probably insert a picture here on my white canvas. Isn't that nice? I'm going to insert a picture of how this looks. So she has you start with a contrast color and you knit all the way here to then kind of bind it off with this zigzag pattern, and then the pattern goes as I knit it. But obviously I started with the main color, but I still wanted it to be the main color, so I just made this a zigzag line instead of a one color thing, so to speak. And then the other modification I'm doing is she just has this, again, this is a 2 color color work in her project, and I just made this red because I really wanted to include some red. Knitting this now like this, I kind of regret not doing this in red as well. I think that would have looked really nice, but I'm not gonna rip it all out just to do this again, because this is obviously 3 colors in one row for quite some time. I think there was one relaxed row in there where I only had 2 colors. So I'm knitting with 3 colors. Not only that, I'm holding 2 yarns together for each color, meaning I'm holding 6 balls of yarns at the same time while I'm knitting this. I can't wait until I'm done. I'm actually close to the end. I think I have 1, 2, 3 more rows. That is 3 colors, and then I'm done with this. And I'm gonna think really, really hard if I'm going to repeat that for the sleeves, because there is some more pattern. I'm gonna do the long sleeve version, and there is some more pattern in the sleeve. And there is also a section that would lend itself nicely to substitute that with a red. And maybe by the time this is long enough ago that I'm ready to do another 6-ball juggling project. But let me tell you, it is quite... I've gotten into a flow by now. I think it's okay. And I just decided that I'm not moving the project. It just lives on my couch, and I'm already... I put it in a bag now for the podcast, obviously. So I have to figure all that out again. But yeah, juggling 6 balls is certainly quite the feat. But I'm loving what's happening here. And once I'm done with the yoke, there'll be just some plain knitting for the body. I was considering maybe making this an all over color work as well. Kind of like Ellie from Little Drops of Wonderful is planning, because I like the idea of an all over Christmas jumper. But I think the design as Caitlin Hunter made it is quite nice, just having a plain body and then a bit more happening in the sleeves. So, and I'm also just looking forward just knitting with the blue. But yeah, let me tell you about all that yarn that goes in here. There's actually 3 or 4 different types of yarn. No, it's 5 different types of yarn. Hallelujah. So yeah, let's get into that. So the main color I'm using is the blue. So let's take out the blue here. I'm sorry. Oh, this is going to be a mess after. But I already knew that going in, I guess. This is coming apart as well. Okay, so I'm holding these 2 together. And as you can see, they're not exactly the same, but that's the fun thing with holding together 2 types of yarn or whatever, just holding things together, that they just blend together, and you can make 2 quite different colors work together, even though they next to one another look like they might not go so well. Although I think those 2 go really nicely together. But anyway, so This one is the one I'm actually stealing from my Polar Nights blanket. This is Holds Super Soft in the Vintage Heather colorway, which is certainly my favorite color so far that Holst has to offer. So it's a super night blue heathered colorway. And I'm holding it together with this. And you might remember, I originally bought this for the Big Cozy cardigan, since that has a Suri alpaca collar. And I wanted to have that in a very dark brown. I'm gonna get to that. But I couldn't find anything. I thought I found something with this. And this is the Cumulus by Fiber Spades. Hang on, I do have a label here, yes. So this is the yarn, and the colorway is called Onyx. And online, I thought it looked like a brown, but as it turns out, it's actually a bluish purple. It's like a little bit purple, but it's basically just a dark blue. And yeah, so that's my one couple. The main contrast, or the main colorway, not the contrast colorway. The first colorway, the beige, is those two together. And this is the Putty from JC Rennie Super Soft, which is, I guess, the only remaining color from my original Skein Knits project I had in mind. And this is something I got in the sale from our local yarn shop that I intended to hold together with this, which I'm doing now. And this is from Lang Yarns. Hang on, I also have a label for this. Very prepared podcaster today. Lang Yarns, and it's just called Alpaca Superlight. Superlight? Yes, and it is a, let me tell you, 54 alpaca, 24 polyamide, and 22% merino wool. And yeah, holding those two together. Do you also want to know the contents of the Cumulus? Now that I told you of the Lang Yarns, I feel like I need to tell you of this one too. The Cumulus is 74 baby Suri alpaca and 26% mulberry silk. So yes, that's that. And then lastly, the red contrast color, which I'm obviously only gonna use very little, is this. Which again, they separately look like they're not gonna work together that well, but held together, I think it just adds like a really nice heathered effect for the darker red. So the darker red is again Holds Super Soft in the Bocata colorway. I'm gonna put it below so you can read it, which is a really nice deep wine red, and I'm holding it together with a Shibui knit. And I have also a label here. Silk Cloud is the base, and this one is 60% kid mohair and 40% silk. So it's quite, oh yeah, and the colorway is called Paprika. Did I tell you the colorway of the weight one? I don't think it has a name. Probably just a number. Yay, just a number. 749. But yeah, it's just a beige. Anyways, and this is actually a yarn I never held into the camera before. That was something I bought in Canada, and I just totally forgot. I bought a bit more there that I never, but I don't know. I forgot the episode after, and I don't know, then I just was like, whatever. You'll see it when I use it, and this is the case with this one. So I bought this one in Toronto actually during the summer, so I'm very happy finally using this. And the intention for this was to buy it to hold together with this color, or at least a red in a color work, because that's certainly when I got those colors for my blanket from the Hold Super Soft, I was telling you about loving these combinations. And I was visualizing since then wanting to knit something with a color work holding together with some fluff yarn. So I'm finally doing that. I'm combining a lot of finally things, which actually, oh yeah, I wanted to mention that. Also Knitting Traditions. She started a year-long knit-along as well, which I'll probably put this project in as well, because she's knitting, I don't know, what's she calling it? The Dream Knits Cal, I believe she's calling it. Because she's at the moment knitting also a colorwork sweater from the Olympics from, I don't know when that happened in Norway, and they were all wearing like colorwork sweaters, and she's knitting one for herself. And apparently she's always wanted to do that. And anyways, so I'm knitting finally a colorwork sweater held together with mohair, which I always wanted to do. And I'm also knitting the Zipila, which I have on my queue for forever as well. I think actually one of the first knitting podcasts I ever started watching was the one from Nora it used to be the Cat and White podcast. Then she turned into Mansarden Atelier. And I think she still is Mansarden Atelier on YouTube. But on her Instagram, she's called I Am Nora Ling now. But anyways, she knit the Zipila for herself. And I put that... And that's been forever ago. Again, like she was the first podcast I followed. And I think it was back from kind of my beginning times watching podcasts when she inspired me to put this on my queue, and I'm finally getting around to knitting this, and I'm very excited for it because I think the fit is going to be very nice and what I like. So yes, new cast on, work in process, and loving where this is going. Hopefully next time I'll be knitting on the body, having separated for the sleeves, and who knows, but enjoying this a lot. Again, it's my in the evenings on the couch project because I'm determined not to move this anymore. I used to move this in the beginning and I was just hating myself. I mean, with like 4 balls, it's kind of okay. You can manage that with your 2 hands and then just like squeezing the project between your arms. But like with 3, it just, there's always one ball that falls down and then unravels, and no, and my son gets hold of it, and you know how that goes. Anyways, so now I needed another project to knit on while I'm sitting with my son on the ground, which is usually during the day a lot. So I'm actually working on my big cozy cardigan again. And now I am at the end of the row. So I can show you. Yay! It doesn't look like a whole lot, but there's quite a bit of knitting in this. So I think last time I was probably just here. I just started the project. So like in the last 2 weeks, I guess, is when I picked it back up, just sitting on the ground with my son. I made a bit of progress on this very rectangular, boring shape, but that's perfect. It's become my kind of travel knitting in the car when we're going on the weekends to my mom, which we're doing a lot lately because we're building a boat. My husband and I were building a boat, and we're determined to get it done by the end of May. Although I don't think it's going to happen, but I hope we're going to get very, very far until then. We're actually ordering a sail this week, so wish me luck that that's actually going to happen this week. But anyways, so we're going there a lot. It's like a nearly 2-hour drive, so I knit on that, at least on the way back. On the way there, sadly, it's always super dark. I always wanted to get like one of those lights that are hanging around your neck that I can knit in the car next to him, because I don't want to turn on the light because it's obviously distracting. So yeah, that I can also knit when we're going there, because we're always going in the evening, Friday night, and it's too dark to knit if it's not stockinette, which this isn't. So yay, working on this, loving this project. It's so nice. This is also a JC Rennie, but this is the super soft cashmere. So this also has a percentage of cashmere in it, which I don't know how much. Does it say on here? No, it doesn't say on here. But anyways, there's probably like, I would guess around 20% cashmere. And it's really nice. You can certainly feel the difference to the putty that I'm knitting with. I don't know. This just has a very, very awesome feel to it. So excited for this. It's the oyster colorway. I don't think I mentioned that. And I really love this. It's like a very warm gray. And it has like specks of orange in there, which I guess is what makes it so warm. And I really like this. I really like the look of this yarn, so highly recommend this color if you're into warm grays. Or it's even, I don't know, you could call this a brown too. I don't know, it's hard to describe this color. It's like a gray or a brown. I don't know. In my world, this is still gray, but it could be a brown in somebody else's world. Anyways, so really, really cool. But this project, and did I say, I know I said it's the Big Cozy Cardigan, but I'm not sure if I mentioned that the designer is Andrea Mowry. But anyways, so part of this cowl, this cardigan is a cowl, and that cowl is knit with Sori alpaca silk. At least that's what Andrea Mowry uses, and I was really interested because up until now I've never knit with that, although now I'm using it in the Zipila sweater, but I got this for this project first. And as I was talking about it before, I was trying to find a really nice dark brown because I thought that would go very nicely with the oyster colorway of the main color I'm using for the cardigan, but I couldn't find anything. I even bought yarn that didn't end up being the color that I wanted, so I decided to dye for myself. And I think I've shown this yarn to you after I dyed it with walnut. I can find some footage and put it in again just as a reminder how that looked like. But even though it was a nice shade of brown, it wasn't what I had in my mind. So I decided to just experiment and put some acid dye over the naturally dyed yarn. And I had no idea if that would work. I can tell you now, it does work. And this is what I got. And I couldn't be more happy with the result I got. This is spot on the color that I wanted to have. It's super intense dark brown. It's very heathered. You have like more black sections and more light brown, which is basically like the light brown is what I achieved with just the walnut dyeing, and then obviously the full black. I over dyed it with black acid dye. And yes, overall it got much darker, but with the silk in the middle, I don't know, you can see that on the wound up ball. The silk just does not take the color as much as the alpaca does, which makes it in itself a two-toned yarn. But then there's obviously also sections that ended up more black. Then I guess the Sori alpaca just took on the black more than in other sections. So it's a very lively color, and I can't wait to see how this will knit up. So yes, very successful. If I were a professional yarn dyer, I would certainly not put this into my repeatable colorways because this took so many coats. I don't know, I would have told you in the natural dyeing segment when I was talking about it, I think it was like 5 or 6 coats off or dye baths with the walnut. Although I probably could have stopped after 3 because I don't think it did any change after that. And then I did like 2 coats of black acid dye. So this is certainly not a very economical colorway, but I'm still happy with what I got. Would I do it again? Yes. Would I start selling this colorway? Certainly not, because it would not be feasible to put a price tag on that. I don't think so. But anyways, so very happy with this. Again, can't wait to actually knit this up in the Big Cozy Cardi, which is where it's intended to end up. And yeah, but that brings me to the end of the... No, it does not. There's some acquisitions. So let me quickly show you the acquisitions. Again, that shop closed down, so I obviously had to buy some more yarn. And I was in there the very last day actually it was open. So she was just throwing out everything that was in there. And one of the things I saw there, which I don't think I would have bought under any other circumstances, but I think one of these was probably like €1.50 or something. So I just had to go for it. Is 5 balls of this. I think this is Lana Grossa. Yes, Lana Grossa Linea Pura Solo Lina. Solo Lino. Linea Pura. Which is a... Let me tell you the contents. It's 80% recycled linen. And it says in brackets viscose. So how can it be linen? I don't know. I guess it's just imitating linen. and then 20% real linen. I thought for some reason this was cotton, but I guess not. It's linen. So yes, and this is the bleached white. I would have preferred the natural white because I know from experience, because I had this before, that over dyeing this is quite hard because the bleached does not really take color very well, but I do want to give it a go with acid dyes. Although thinking about this now, I don't think you can do natural fibers, or not natural, plant fibers with acid dye. I need to read up on this. Well, if not, then I'll do indigo. I certainly know that indigo works on this. So yes, I bought this thinking I could just over dye this with something. There's certainly ways to dye this, even though it might be a bit harder to make this catch color, since I know I dyed this with nettles and it certainly did not give me the olive blackish green that I was expecting, but a rope color. So we all remember that. Probably not, but anyways, I do. So this is what I got there, which is a steal, so I had to go for it, and the rest is in a very crinkly bag. Hang on, let me just take it out and then I'll show you. So next one I got is 4 balls of this merino lace, again from Lang Yarns, and this was originally what I intended to knit with in the Christmas jumper from Scandia Knits, holding together with the Loden colorway. I could still do this. So yeah, this is just 100% merino, and it's a very thin gauge. And I think it goes very nicely with that green. But who knows, I might do something else with this. I obviously don't have plans with this anymore. Since I'm not making that sweater, I might make it in the future. But this just goes into my stash. I have 4 balls of this. And then the last thing I got is also Lang Yarns, and this is yak. And this is actually 50% yak and 50% merino extra fine. I think this is either aran or worsted weight, sorry. And I was thinking of knitting a hat with this. I actually already printed out the watch cap hat by Pearl Soho, which is a free pattern, and Knitting Traditions Inga raves about this. She loves this pattern, so I thought I'd give it a go, but it's actually for thinner weight yarn than this. But I don't know, I figure I might be able to make it work with thicker yarn, just casting on less stitches. We'll see about that. But yeah, that's kind of what I have planned for this. I have 2 balls of this, hoping that will be enough for 1 hat for myself, because I certainly need a winter hat. I'm a knitter. I have 1 knitted hat that I made myself, but I just don't like it. I don't like how it fits, and I don't like how it looks on me. It is a beautiful hat. It's the, what's it called? Vintage Prim by Andrea Mowry. I really like how it looks. I used really nice yarns with it, but I just don't think it looks good on my head, unfortunately. So I'll probably just have to give that away. Maybe to my mom, although my mom also does not have a hat head. She also tends to look a little funny with hats. I guess that's where I have it from. So yeah, well, I'll have to find somebody who looks good with that hat, who likes the look of that hat as well. But anyways, just rambling at this point. This now is all my yarny things that I meant to talk about this episode, but there is a little bit more before we get into giveaway fun. This is my baby phone now. Uh-oh, we're on a time limit here. Anyways, so moving along. The next segment is my new rabbit hole, and that is cross stitch. So I got the idea actually over Christmas already, when my aunt pointed out that she really liked a table runner, and I'm actually trying to get to it without dropping everything. Bear with me, and I have it here. So this is my mom's Christmas table runner. How can I show this? There. I don't know. I don't see anything. I hope you see something. It's a very, very simple table runner. where it says Merry Christmas, Frohe Weihnachten, obviously in German. And it's all just printed, but it has a cross-stitch look to it. But if you look very closely, there's even just like cut off cross-stitch stitches in it. But anyways, my aunt pointed out that she really likes this. And then I was thinking, obviously, crafter as I am, you could totally do this yourself. And I don't know why I'm in such a Christmassy mode. I mean, I have a Christmas jumper, although it's not very Christmassy. You could certainly wear this any time period. But anyways, and now I'm talking about a table runner in the Christmas theme, but I actually have not started this project. I've started gathering materials. But yeah, I thought, come on, let me try making this. Then I have a Christmas present for my aunt. And since we only do one present, because we draw names and only gift to one person, I already have my Christmas headache out of the way. And didn't I say I didn't want to craft for Christmas anymore because it takes the fun out of it? And here I am casting on a new craft project, but I feel like it is freaking March still as we speak. Probably when this episode was released, it will be April by then. But anyways, there should be enough time, and it's just cross stitch. So, and I have made a bit of experience, or gathered a bit of experience knowing cross stitch is fairly quick, and this doesn't look too complicated. But here I am talking about something I have no clue about, because these fun designs that are part of it, I am actually planning on embroidering. So there's like 2 crafts in here. And anyways, what I gathered, let's move along here. During that sale of my local yarn shop, they also have cross-stitching materials. And I saw that she was selling this, which is cross-stitch fabric. It's like I guess it's linen. And it has like, it's just a narrow, I guess it is meant as a table runner, probably as is. But I was thinking I could either cut this in half, kind of imitating this, because, hang on, let me show you again. So this has like the, how do you call this? Oh, this has a name. Gingham. This has the gingham pattern in the middle, and then the 2 panels with the Merry Christmas on either side of it. And then obviously a red border around. And I was kind of thinking of either cutting this in half and make that the 2 panels where you have Merry Christmas on it, but cutting this in half would probably make this a bit too narrow. So now I'm thinking of just making it wider panels and just have a very thin gingham part of it. I don't know how exactly, but I wanted to use this because I think the linen makes it look a little bit more modern rather than the white. But still kind of, other than that, doing the same. Oh, now it all came apart. I got way too much, but it was dirt cheap, so whatever. I was just like, if I mess up, I have more, and I could make more table runners if I actually stick to cross stitch. And I also have some gingham fabric, which actually I didn't buy. I already had that at home. I don't think it's very long though, so I'll see how I deal with this. I still have to get some red ribbon to make the border. I want to copy this as closely as can be, because she said she liked this design, and I don't feel like completely redesigning this. I think there will be enough creative thing happening just trying to make this look like this. So yeah, I got that, and I obviously then need some cross stitch tools. So I did get a few needles, because that's the needles the lady said are good. I think this is size 26. I actually got this online because she was out of that thickness at the sale. But what she was not out of was a bunch of floss. So I got a lot of floss. And now you might be like, hey, that's way more than the red and green and Christmassy colors than you could possibly need for that project. And that's because it is more. There is Christmas red in there, which is what I'm going to start. I actually haven't gotten the green, the dark green. See, I should have gotten that there. And now I realize I forgot that. Oh, man. But then I got distracted by 2 more designs that I purchased as I was planning for this project, and got floss for that. And let me get into my active cross-stitch project. So I found, I think actually via Nora, the Cat and White podcast, no, Mansarden Atelier, I'm sorry. She does a bit of cross-stitch, and she mentioned a cross-stitch designer called the Witchy Stitcher, and the name is really what she does. She does very spooky, witchy, Halloweeny patterns. That's her thing. That's what she obviously loves and what she puts out year-round. And I was just curious looking on her page, and I found a pattern that I really liked, which is probably the one pattern that is not in your face, witchy, spooky, Halloweeny, which is a pattern, I think it's just called Poisonous Plants. And I'm just gonna show you, as I have it on my hoop right now, which is kind of cutting it in half, what I've done. So it's basically a square this size with like a nice border. I'll probably put in on that white canvas the finished look of the design. You have 8, I think it's 8 poisonous plants with their names that you cross stitch, and then you have like a nice green border around that. And I really thought that was a neat design, and the shape I thought would lend itself really nicely to make another project bag. So this is where I'm planning on using this. I don't think I'm the type who puts cross stitch up their walls, and I like for my projects to actually have a purpose. And I enjoy sewing project bags. So that's what I figure I'll do with this. And I think the size is really nice. And we'll see what I do with the bag. I highly doubt I'll cross stitch the same thing. So I have the 2 kind of, yeah, on either side of the project bag. I'll probably just have this on one side and then just a plain fabric on the back. But we'll see about that. It is very fun. And yes, I got a bunch of colors for that. And I did buy another pattern, which I'm blanking on the name, but I'll put in, again, the preview on how the finished design looks. And that is a carousel with dead horses and some pumpkins, I believe. And I did get colors for that you can see in this funny bundle. And I also bought on Etsy, I went down a little bit of a rabbit hole buying patterns. I don't even know if I'm gonna stitch that, to be honest, which has more of a, and I don't even know the design name. Again, I'll put it up, I'll put down the name of the designer, but that's an Etsy shop, and that's I thought that for our lake house, kind of more a boat sailing vibe. And that's why there's all the blues here. Yes? So awesome. New craft. Oh yeah, did you see? I even got myself a needle minder, because on the online homepage, they had a sale as well, as they always do, to draw you in buying things. So I got a cat. Yoo-hoo! A cat in a cup. Who am I? Who am I? This is certainly not something I would have expected myself to do, but I do enjoy it. Funnily enough, it is very satisfying doing this, and I'm just realizing there's only, I missed some stitches there. Oh well, I guess I was running out of yarn or something, or thread. It's not yarn. I'll be mixing up those terms anyways. So yeah, that's all the cross stitch, and that's also all my crafting. So I guess we can now get into the fun giveaway, and I'm totally not prepared because I obviously need to do the random comment picker now. So let me hold the video for 1 second and I'll be back in a second. Okay, I'm back here. So I hope this is going to work, but I'm going to record my phone screen here, and I'm going to press it now, and it should pop up on there. Hang on. I need to give some tick, tick, tick. Yes. And now... there. So now you should be seeing my screen recording here. And I'm using the comment picker for YouTube videos. And I need to paste in my link, which I obviously prepared and copied. And so that's my latest episode. And what do I want to do? I want to filter comments based on specific text, since I gave you the password diamond. So let's put that in. Filter duplicate users, I guess so. No, we don't want to include replies. So I think that's it. Yay, animation. Sure, let's do wheel of names. So solve the sum, 2 plus 3. Ooh, can I solve this and then get YouTube comments? So the amount of unique comments is 19. So thank you very much again. It was really fun. I think I replied to everybody. So let's see who will actually win. Yay! I haven't even shown you the prize. I'm just so, okay, I need to do this now. But anyways, I'll show you the prize after the fact we know the winner. So let's start. Woo! Who is it? Who is it? Min Mark, congratulations, you've won. I wasn't even aware that diamond painting was a thing till today. Here for the knitting, but your art journals are stunning and the boat looked great. Oh, the boat? Although I struggled to draw a straight line, so what do I know? Oh, the boat. I was like, hang on, did I show the boat we're building? But no, I showed my art journal with a boat in it. Thank you so much, that's so kind to say. Yes, but you are the winner. So let me know via either this email address that I'm going to pop in, or you can also contact me on Instagram with a direct message, letting me know your address and where to ship the prize to. And now let's get to the prize. The prize. So Min, I'm assuming your name is Min. I hope, if not, let me know. The prize I made. So I said last time I would make a project bag myself, and that's what I did. So this is the project bag that I made, and I'm really happy with this. And I really hope, Min, you're gonna love this as much as I do. So this is actually a fabric that I got ages ago. During my very first job when I was living in Potsdam. I remember there was like a marketplace for fabrics. Back then I was very much into sewing and not knitting at all. And yeah, I meant to sew myself a bag out of this, and I never did. I don't know why, but I thought I'm finally gonna use this cute cat fabric. And it's very nice and stiff. So I think it's perfect for a project bag because it's gonna just stay nice and open. And I used some old jeans. I've worn these. Don't worry, I washed them. And the funny thing is, actually, I just took one leg of the jeans and cut out through 2 layers of fabric the amount of fabric I needed. And then I realized on the back side, and I'll probably insert some footage right now of me doing this embroidery thing, and then you can see why I did this. Because I noticed that on the backside of the fabric was a stain, a green splash of paint. And then I realized, hey, that must be from when I did the mural in my daughter's room. And that got me thinking, did I actually ever show off this mural on this podcast? Because I'm super proud of how this came out. So here it is, in between shot of the mural now. And let me know if you're curious, and then I can tell you all about it, or maybe I'll just do it anyways. But comment below if you would like to hear more about it. But yeah, that happened. And yes, again, I'm very proud of this. But then I thought I could just cut out a new piece of fabric, but then I was like, no, I want to use this. I don't want to throw this away. And I could just embroider, since I was down this rabbit hole of cross stitch and floss and all that stuff, that I could just embroider something and make it a feature. So that's what I did. Actually quite happy of how this turned out. You can still see, if you look very closely, that green stain through it. I also obviously added my nice tag, the Karo Kirsch. The placement is a little bit weird, but oh well, life happens. But still very happy with the project bag. And if you open it up, This is what the inside looks like. It's the same fabric I used for my last homemade bag, but I think it goes really nicely with this deep red mahogany. I don't know what you call this color. Zipper. And in there is some nice yarn. So the yarn I decided to go with, because I wanted it to be a German yarn, just because I know a lot of you viewers are probably more from the States or the UK even. The winner sounds like she is from the Asian continent. I don't want to make any assumptions here, but let me know where you're from. You're probably gonna let me know where you're from, because otherwise I cannot send this lovely bag and the yarn to you. But yeah, I still thought that it's probably harder for you to get yarns from Germany, and if so, there's a lot of shipping involved or whatever, taxes and all that stuff. So I thought I want to include something German, something I know and like. And then I came up with the Schoppel Zauberball Crazy. And this is the U-Boot submarine colorway, which is a nice bluish, purplish, teal, blue, gray. I don't know. There's lots of colors in here. But it's obviously a very fun yarn, and you can do multiple things with it, which is also a reason why it chose this. So you could obviously make socks with this, which is my preferred use for this yarn, because they hold up really nicely, at least on my feet. I know it varies across the board. I've since learned that there's people who really love their Mondine Retrosaria socks, which for me, they just broke up super quickly. So, but apparently on other feet, it holds up really nice. So you just have to test for yourself. This certainly holds well on my feet. So the yarn is 70% strong quality superwash wool. 25% nylon, biodegradable. Very good. Yay, so it's a sock yarn, it's fingering weight, and again, the colorway is U-Boot. And what else did I wanted to say? Oh yeah, and the other use is actually because it has this barber poling handspun kind of look, same as spin cycle yarns. I know this is a very, very popular option if you want to knit a design that uses spin cycle yarns but don't have the money to use spin cycle yarns, because as nice as that yarn is, it is a very high-end pricey yarn, and having some alternatives is always nice. And I know this yarn people love using as an alternative because it has a very, very similar effect, as in it's shifting through colors, having barber poling and all that. So hopefully, Min, you can find a nice use for this yarn, and you'd like the color. And yes, again, let me know either via this email address or direct message on Instagram where to send this to, and then I'll do that. And then you can also let me know if it ever arrives. I don't know. I'm assuming I'm going to ship it to Asia, so things tend to take a while, so we'll see. But very, very stoked to have a winner. And yes, so that was that. Up to the next segment, which I never really made this a proper segment, I guess. But I do want to talk about life updates, because there is some things happening in the background, and you might be able to tell. Things look a little bit more arty in my room, and that is because I've decided I'm going to sign up for art school. Yeah, I'm so excited. Now that I made the decision, I'm like super excited. I haven't even done it because the registration window actually opens on 1st of April. So this coming Saturday, I think it's Saturday. And today is Wednesday. So very, very soon I'm going to sign up to an online, it's a private school. It's called the Milan Art Institute. And it's a private art education institution that I think, I don't know, they did on-site courses, but I think since they've just went to online, probably due to pandemic and all that, And they offer the Mastery Program. And that is a program that is intended or designed to be done over the span of 1 year. And it kind of walks you through from the very basics, drawing skills, painting in oils, kind of learning a bit about art history, like kind of basic what you learn in art school, but condensed to a fairly short amount of time. I think to just give you an overview, an idea of what's out there, to get your hands in it, to actually do the movements. Then it goes into a mixed media segment where you then obviously touch as many other media that you could use in your art as possible. And that's also the segment where they're going to talk about finding your style and your voice as an artist. I've watched a few or a lot of reviews online of people talking about this. There is a lot of like psychological assessments like that you do yourself, like you do just like tests about your personality and things, and how you kind of combine all that into learning who you are and how you like to work with, and giving yourself an idea, I guess, what you want to say and how you want to express that. And it's kind of a mental development and also a physical moving about with paint and actually using the paint and seeing what vibes with you and what doesn't. And then you kind of build up a portfolio, and then there's also a more business side of things, marketing, branding, having a website, having an Instagram, and all that. So watch this space. I have no idea. I mean, they have quite the aggressive advertisement. They sort of promise you that you'll be a professional selling artist by the end of it, at least if you kind of follow what they're doing and doing all the things. I certainly know I won't be doing this in a year, because they say that you should put at least 20 hours per week into it. And I mean, right now I'm still on maternity leave, and it looks like my son is sleeping for quite a while. So I do have some time at the moment, which is why I want to start this now. I wish I would have found this like 4 months ago. But anyways, I found it now. So I still want to do it now. But once I'm back at work, there's obviously going to be less time for me to work on this. So I know I'm going to take longer than this 1 year, but I still want to try to kind of keep at it and work at it, because I do want to give art a shot. I don't know where it'll lead. I don't know if I'm going to be a full-time professional artist in 3 or 4 years. Who knows? I wouldn't say no to it if it would happen. But it's always been in the back of my mind. I've always been creative. I've always drawn, sometimes more, sometimes less. I certainly was in a creative rut completely in the last year. But I do want to give it a go. I want to give it a proper shot. And I feel like this is a nice condensed way that I can expand on. Because again, I don't believe that you turn somebody, and their advertisement is you can be a complete beginner. You don't need to have any experience in drawing whatsoever, and they still turn you into a professional artist within a year, which I have troubles believing. But there is certain points in the program, which is why I'm taking it. I am believing in what they're selling, but I feel like I want to really immerse myself, also take additional classes, free or paid for, who knows, as I'm moving through this, and learn as much as I can and really give art a shot, I guess, because I do like what my job is, but it can be very dreary, the day-to-day of it. The whole 9 to 5 does not really vibe with me at all. So yeah, I just want to see where this will take me. Again, I'm not expecting to be a full-time professional, successful artist by the end of it, but I really would like to take it more serious. I think that's where I want to go. I want to take my art serious. Don't think it's just a dibble-dabble hobby. I actually keep thinking about this so much, and it makes me a bit sad that I don't really have a practice. And I think it is because I prioritize other things, thinking art is just whatever, it's just a hobby and it's not very important. But I think it is important for me, at least, And if it ends up being successful, which is why I like the marketing point of the whole course as well, why not if I could sell some pieces of art? So watch this space. I'm going to stick my head in super deep. I mean, I'm already I'm preparing the studio. Obviously had to get some oil paints. I used to have oil paints. When I was 16, I was painting with oil paints. But I remember having no clue about oil paints because I would only draw in black and white. I remember that because I didn't know how to clean. I didn't know that you needed to use turpentine to clean your brushes, which is why I used 2 brushes, one black and one white, and then I would make black and white paintings, and then after that the brushes were done because I didn't know how to get the freaking oil out. You know, that's how much I knew about oil paints. So. And I don't even know where those oil paints are by now. They're probably in the garbage. They're probably dried out. I don't know. It's really been a long time. So I got myself some new oil paints. I'm actually using water-soluble oil paints. So I can just rinse the brushes with water, which is going to be nice. But it's also, I don't want to work with turpentine in here because my kid's around here. So I want to be able to work on those painting while he's crawling on the floor, because that's going to be the only way I am going to get anything done. Anyways, so he is awake by now. I had to turn him down on the baby phone so I could finish up this episode. So all that to say, I'm really excited. There's going to be more art in my future. I'm planning on kind of doing vlog style studio vlogs, documenting my experience on the Milan Arts Institute. So if you're into that, watch this space. I'm going to put this up. I'm going to try to continue the knitting podcast because I'm certainly not going to stop knitting, but there is obviously going to be less time for knitting because I'm going to use all my spare minutes to do painting from now on. But I'm sure there's still going to be some car rides and some easy on the evening vegging on the couch where I'm going to knit. So maybe the spacing is just going to be extended between the knitting podcasts. So if that's the only reason you're here, I'm terribly sorry, but I'm not going to stop. But I'm hoping to fill the in-between time with some art vlogging. So if you're into that, yay! Watch this space. Again, how many times can I say this? So I don't want to keep my son more waiting. So that's that. Happy that you turned in and watched till the end. If you do like this, please give it a like, a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're not already, and leave me a comment and tell me what is your excitement. What are you diving into? Are you on any new adventure? I'd be curious to hear about that. And yeah, I'll see you whenever I see you for the next video. Bye bye.